This just looks absolutely amazing. Hello, good to see you again.
Now I messaged.
Oh, thank you, darling. I only popped in for 5 minutes, so that's all right, darling. It was an honour. And you pitched that very beautiful last little quote that we did with our man's success for again today. Because it's only one you can use for really good, nice people, family people, so I thought we'd pitch that one again. So, thank you. It's absolutely amazing. They look beautiful. Yeah. So,
You want us to take it or you take it?
I'll grab that instead of Kelly. I'll grab that. You don't have to worry about anything. Just Hey darling, how are you? I only knew you when you were a tiny little girl and you've sort of grown a little bit since then. Look, I've just got your reading printed out in here. Where is it? Sorry, it's here. It's definitely here. I saw it before. This reading has escaped me every time I've gone to look for it. Yes,
Thank you.
That's yours, and yours is here too. I'll show you yours, and you can see which one.
We just have that open, Nancy, on the
It'll
page.
be open on the page.
Yep.
Okay.
No, I've got it in my handbag, but yeah, I've got it on my phone as well. Nice.
Well, we've got 4 backs of them now, so it's in here anyway. All right, darling.
I think that's the only thing her and David do.
I've heard about the ugly cry. She's not allowed to cheat. Oh,
How it goes. You finished reading it. Do you want to keep it? Do you want to keep it though for yourself?
Yeah.
I've got a copy, but why don't we keep it?
Never played balls.
Leave that there though. That's for Nancy. She's the lady who's going to be doing the ceremony.
Where's the lady?
She's
What
here in
is
this
it?
blue coat. That's Nancy.
Right there.
that just looks incredible. I love the.
Mama. Mummy. Mummy.
Yeah.
What are those shirts?
They're body footy shirts that Nocka was the trainer for.
Yeah, it is. I agree. And it's expensive.
enough. You're going to charge them pretty much. Give them something. I feel like he needs to sit. Like I said, and you? Oh, pretty much.
It's going to go out into the heads. See the curves of the car? Where out into the width of the car. So it's going to go out, that's the curves, and up the cemetery. So down in the hall. And then we go have a party. Celebrate his life party. I don't know, but just leave it there. If there's stuff there, you just leave it there. Okay? Yeah, right.
That light's on, yeah. That's it.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please ask you to make sure that your phones are turned to off or silent? Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome. We've gathered here today to honour and to remember Neville, a remarkable man whose impact in our lives and on our community will be remembered for years to come. As we come together to celebrate his life, let's also find comfort in each other's presence, sharing our stories and memories that highlight the extraordinary person that Neville was. Although we mourn his passing, we're also here to celebrate his achievements, his kindness and the love that he bestowed upon us. Neville had a range of interests reflecting his diverse talents. He had a love of the land and an extreme knowledge of stock and horses. He was an accomplished racehorse trainer, and his dedication to his work was matched only by his devotion to his family, his unwavering kindness and his steadfast nature. Beyond his professional achievements, Nev's greatest achievement in life was his family. He was an extremely proud father and grandfather who cherished every moment with his close-knit family. His marriage of 66 years stands as a testament to his enduring love and commitment. And your presence here today is a testament to the love and the respect that you have for Nev. And it's a great comfort to the family. And although it's Neville's passing that's brought us together, it's his life that we wish to remember. It is a time for sorrow, but it's also a time for thanksgiving, for we are so thankful for the gift of life, and we're thankful that Neville was a part of our lives. Saying farewell to Neville today, it's a gentle reminder to us all that life is a precious gift, and it's precious because it's so fragile that it can easily be taken away from us. We have no control, no say, no input into when our journey ends. So we must remind ourselves often that life is an opportunity, welcome it. Life is beauty, admire it. Life is a dream, make it a reality. Life is a challenge, face it. Life is a duty, accomplish it. Life is precious, take care of it. Life is a promise, fulfil it. And life is a struggle, accept it. And life is happiness, so treasure it. When death occurs, we know that those whom we've lost are now at peace. Nothing can change the experiences that we shared with them, because the past is secure and it can never be changed by time or circumstances. And it's a gentle reminder to us all to love the people in our lives, because one day God will want them back. Nev slipped into eternal sleep on the 16th of June, and he'll be sadly missed by his wife Margaret, his children Gary, Ross, David, Bernadette, and their partners Mandy, Anne, Christy and Sean, and their families. The greatest legacy that Nev has left behind is his 13 grandchildren and his 13 great-grandchildren. And I'm going to mention their names because Nev was a very, very proud grandfather, and he wouldn't be very happy if I didn't. He'll be very much missed by Doug, Nadia, Megan, Cassidy, Riley, Jack, Sam, Billy, Louie, Ollie, Georgia, Charlie and Lucy. And his legacy continues with his great-grandchildren Lily, Lincoln, Layla, Lincoln, Arthur, Angus, Ava, Harriet, Lenny, Willa, Bobby, Abel and Matilda. Margaret, Gary, Ross, David, Bernadette and families, may it bring comfort to you and your families, knowing that your husband, your father and your grandfather has touched the lives of many, and he's given you the gift of many happy memories. Hold tight to those memories, for they will give you the strength to get through the days ahead. Memories are always special. Sometimes we laugh when we remember them and sometimes we cry. But as long as we have memory, they are never more than a thought away. We never really lose the people we love, not even to death. They continue to participate in every act, every thought and every decision we make. And their love leaves an indelible imprint upon our memories. We find comfort in knowing our lives have been enriched by having shared their love. And we'll always thank Neville for the beautiful memories he has left behind in our homes and in our hearts. I'd like to ask Nadia to come forward, please, to do a reading called A Golden Heart. Not allowed to be any ugly crying here today, is there, Berna? And take a big breath. You've got this. Okay? Big breath.
A golden heart stopped beating, hard-working hands at rest. That was a bit ugly, hear that?
No uglier than that. That's possible.
It broke our hearts to see you go. God only takes the best. They say that memories are golden. Well, maybe that is true. But we never wanted memories. We only wanted you. Your life was love and labour. Your love for your family true. You did your best for all of us. We'll always remember you. We sat beside your bedside. Our hearts were crushed and sore. We did our duty to the end, till we could do no more. In tears we watched you sinking, we watched you fade away, and though our hearts were breaking, we knew you could not stay. Our lips cannot speak how we loved you, our hearts cannot tell what to say, but God knows how we will miss you in our home that is lonely today.
It was very good. Thank you, Nadia. Now let's see how brave Gary is. He's going to deliver the eulogy for us.
Good afternoon, everyone. I knew you'd do something. My name is Gary Peoples, and I'm the eldest son of Neville and Margaret Peoples, and it's my greatest honour to reflect on the life of my father here today. Today we gather to honour the life of a man whose presence touched the hearts of so many, and I thank you all for sharing our sorrow and celebrating the remarkable life of our dad. On behalf of my mother Margaret, my sister Bernadette, my brothers David and Ross, and myself, along with all of our partners and all of our extended Peoples family, I would like to thank the nursing staff, HAC staff and doctors at the Longridge Base Hospital. Thank you for your outstanding dedication and care you bestowed upon our father. Your compassion and unlimited kindness made a real difference in his final days, and we are so grateful and thankful for the exceptional support you provided. Dad placed a great value on a good joke or story. He loved to laugh with family and his mates. Quite often it was like a competition between all of us who could come up with the next best story. He had an imagination that could deliver a very humorous punchline to most situations. An example of this happened a few weeks ago when we all came out to spend some time with Mum and Dad, as they weren't doing too well. Roscoe was sitting beside Dad in the lounge room at home, and he said to Dad, "How are you really feeling, Dad?" He replied saying, "Not too well, mate, struggling a bit actually. I've got pains all over, my batteries had about had it and my pacemaker I could keel over any time with a heart attack. My bloody legs don't work anymore, I'm worried I might fall arse over head. My hands are riddled with arthritis, I can't hold anything. I'm not hungry much anymore, and when I do eat I struggle to swallow. I have a sore neck which won't go away. My back is shot and I have pains down my left side. When I get the urge to go to the toilet, I'm scared I won't make it in time." Roscoe said, "Shit, Dad, well, you won't be having a beer or a scotch tonight." He looked at Roscoe sideways and said, "I'm not that fucking crook, Roscoe." Nocka Peoples was born in Sydney on the 4th of August 1932. Dad leaves behind a lasting legacy of positive impact and friendships which many will endure for lifetimes. Dad was a man of many talents. He had a visionary spirit which illuminated every pathway he ventured down. Neville Peoples was the youngest of 7 children to Hercules John and Clara Seaton Peoples. Dad had a very sad childhood, with his mother Clara passing away when he was 7, and his dad passed away when he was 13 after the after effects of mustard gas from World War II. Dad lived with other family members and he was sick and tired of being passed around, so Dad left Sydney at 15 to venture west. He boarded a train and headed to Bourke. He worked on a property around Bourke, then met up with a drover named Bronco Sims, who was on his way to Queensland to pick up a mob of cattle to do a droving trip to Tancred Meatworks in Bourke. On one of these trips to the Channel Country, Dad stayed and started working on Kyee and Nocka, 2 large pastoral leases in southwest Queensland, west of Thargomindah. It was during this time that Dad met Johnny and Peter McNamara, 2 brothers working on surrounding properties. Dad, Johnny and Peter McNamara ended up lifetime mates and did a lot of horse breaking on many properties throughout the Channel Country. Dad used to find work around Thargomindah during the warmer summer months, then make his way back to Sydney to play rugby league for the St George Dragons under 18s and 21s. He drove a baker's cart when back in Sydney delivering bread and stayed with his brother Jack. When the footy season came to end, he returned to Nocka to work. People often wondered how he got a nickname like Nocka. Well, there were 2 Nevilles who tender mustered at Narielko, one from Napameri and Dad was from Nocka. So the other Nev became Napa Nev and Dad became Nocka Nev, and that's how Nocka became his nickname. Dad got his own droving plant together around 1955, where he ended up pack saddle droving to Bourke and Broken Hill. In 1956, Dad met the love of his life, and in 1958, Margaret Johnson became Margaret Peoples. It was one of the great unions, with Mum and Dad being married for 66 years. Their firstborn Gary came along in 1959. I was born in Charleville. Ross came along in 1961, born in Cunnamulla. It was during this time Dad applied for the manager's role at Rugby Station in the Gulf. He was successful with his application, and Dad packed up and took his young family to North Queensland. While managing at Rugby, David was born in Cairns in September 1962. Dad ended up managing Rugby, Rutland Plains, then Van Rook stations in the Gulf. Colin Jones, who's with us here today, was Dad's head stockman in the Gulf and married Mum's sister Betty. Dad always spoke about the severity of Cyclone Dora while in the Gulf and how it devastated the area so bad. He said it was one of the worst experiences he ever had in his life. In 1965, Dad was headhunted by the Hughes brothers, who were the long-time owners of Nocka Station. During their time at Nocka, Mum and Dad got interested in the lease of the Thargomindah Hotel, which they took on roughly around 1968. And as you know, to become a successful publican, you need to be a hard worker, a good listener, be committed to long hours, be an organiser as well as a sociable person, telling a joke or two. This was Dad to a T, and to support all this, he had a partner like Mum, whose middle name was Busy Bee, and took on anything that was thrown her way with a level head and confidence. In 1970, Bernadette, our sister and the apple of Dad's eye, was born in Charleville on the 8th of August, 4 days after Dad's 38th birthday. It was during this time Dad and the Thargomindah postmaster Les Pick began discussing and planning the building of the Thargomindah Golf Club and course, which they achieved in Dad's time in the hotel. Mum and Dad sold the Thargomindah Hotel and purchased Pinanderry Station, which was approximately 60 kilometres west of Thargomindah. During their early days at Pinanderry, Dad, being an ardent rugby league man, excelled as a coach and administrator and was instrumental in the mid-70s in getting Thargomindah Rugby League Football Club into the Wallel Cup competition, which in those days involved teams from Augathella, All Whites, Gold Stars and Railways from Charleville, Cunnamulla, Quilpie and Thargo. Thargomindah played in the Wallel Cup from 1977 to 81. The Thargo Bulls played in Parramatta colours and were represented in those 4 years with an A grade and reserve grade. Not bad for a town of only 300 people. Dad was coach of A grade and the Bulls made the semis every year during his time as coach. The Thargo Bulls Rugby League needed footballers from outside of the region to help boost numbers for both grades to participate each week in the Wallel Cup. We were fortunate enough to have a few shearing teams from Crookwell and New South Wales, which provided footballers to town, but that still wasn't enough. So Dad, being the coach, and Bill Carr, the Shy CEO, and Thargo Bulls president made a trip to Brisbane every year to scout for players to have a season in the bush. On one such occasion, Dad was given a tip to go out and watch this red-haired under-18 lock for West. He may be worth an offer. So Dad rocks up out at West and watches the game, then goes down to the sheds after the game and introduces himself and asks one of the West Panther officials, would it be possible to have a chat with the under-18 lock? The Western Suburbs official spoke to this young redhead, who was Paul Wharton, telling him there's a Nocka peoples from Thargomindah wanting to have a chat with you outside the sheds. And Fatty replied, Nocka fucking who from Tharga fucking where? It was a hard decision for Fatty to make between the Thargo Bulls and Manly Seagulls. Fatty went to the Seagulls and Nocka thought he went the wrong way. Dad also coached the Southwest A-grade team during this time, and his great mate, the late Vaughan Johnson, was president of the Southwest Rugby League. Choppy Close, a great family friend of ours, played in this rep side in 1977 before moving to Valleys in Brisbane in 1978. Dad also coached the Longreach Thompson Tigers in 1986, making the grand final that year. He also coached the Aramac Bush Pigs for 2 years in the Central West, winning a Sevens Carnival in Muttaburra with the Bush Pigs. Members from all of those sides are here today. He had an illustrious career in the sporting arena, from rugby league coach and successful racehorse trainer spanning 5 decades. He exemplified dedication and passion in all endeavours he pursued. Dad and Mum sold Pinderry and therefrom purchased the Mount Pleasant Hotel in Gympie in 1982. They worked the Mount Pleasant Hotel, increasing the trade considerably. A lot of racing fraternity patronised the hotel, and Dave, Ross and I played rugby league for Gympie Brothers in the local competition. After only 12 months of trading, Mum and Dad were made an offer for the pub they couldn't refuse. They sold the Mount and then headed back to the bush, buying another property, Marita, between Longreach and Winton in 1983. They sold Marita in 1984, and around this time Mum and Dad purchased the properties Somerset and Burnamary near Longreach and Mukunda Downs at Middleton. Mum and Dad fell on hard times with the wool floor price crashing along with high interest rates, and during this uncertainty Mum and Dad still owned the Aramac Hotel, and when the inevitable happened, they moved back to operating the Aramac Hotel. Along with rugby league, horse racing was his other sporting passion, and apart from his working life, a lot of his lifelong friendships came from one of these 2 great sports that Dad loved and devoted so much of his life to. At times at Burnamary and Aramac Hotel, Dad had up to 30 horses in work. During this era, he had many good horses such as Snedden, Homerook, Paper Hat, Plasticine, Chedwin, Sharavari, Got There, So Dare, Laquasti, Marquee Moon, Holy Image, to name a few, but the list goes on. During his racing career as a trainer, he ran a lot of races and a lot of tracks around Queensland. I remember once he went to the Sunshine Coast on Christmas holidays. We all went, and Dad, being Dad, brought 2 horses on holidays with us to Caloundra. It paid off because the day they raced at Corbel Park, he won with both of them. They would draw the line and step and stoop. He won 2 Birdsville Cups for Snedden and had several placings with others. He won a Townsville Cup with Homerook and a Mackay Cup with Marquee Moon. He won a Darwin Lightning with Rainy Day Feeling. In addition to this, he won numerous country cup races across country Queensland. Dad always had a good jockey riding for him, including Danny Williams, Mick Aspinall, Pete Hosey, Todd Austin, Charlie Crow, Brad Johnson, Kev Burst, Jimmy Searchy, Paul Alderman, Paul Denton, Danny Adams, just to name a few, and there was a stack of others who rode for Dad over that time and had a lot of success with him. Dad had a great eye and knowledge of horses and was an excellent conditioner. His horses always were prepared well and looked the part. He could keep a horse up for 12 months, and he did most of his own shoeing, and he was a very good bush vet who had a list of homemade remedies that were magical in the way they worked. He could arguably hold the record of racing on more racetracks than any other trainer, not to mention the number of races he won around the state. His prowess as a trainer not only brought glory to the sport, but also inspired countless aspiring horsemen and women. One story I would like to share with you all was told to me by Wayne Baker, an ex-jockey, now a trainer from Roma. I was at bookmaking in Roma one day, and Wayne came over for a yarn, as he always does, he started telling me about a time at the Nocka races. And for those of you who don't know when Nocka is, it's a hotel on the capital property, Nocka, west of Thargomindah. The Nocka race meeting was probably similar to what Stonehenge meeting was to us up here in this area. Wayne was at the races, I think, strapping for Bow Green, and Dad walked over to Wayne and whispered to him, "Wayne, you're riding for me today, mate." And Wayne replied, "No, Nocka, I can't, mate. I'm bloody suspended. I'm out. I can't ride." Dad replied, "No, mate, it's all sorted. I've spoken to the steward, Len McManus, it's all sorted, but your name today is Morton Baker." Wayne laughed and said, "That's the only time you'll see Morton Baker in the record books, and I think I rode 2 winners for him that day." When I got home from Roma, I couldn't believe this. I said to Dad, "My conversation with Wayne Baker the other day," and I explained it, and I asked him, "Was it true?" And Dad said, "Yeah, it's true. And good old Morton in the record books, no one knows who he is." Beyond the racetracks and football ovals, he served his community with distinction, contributing as a councillor on 3 local governments, Normanton, Bulloo, which is Thargomindah, and Aramac councils, and was also a Justice of the Peace. Dad had an uncanny ability to lure people in with his jokes and storytelling. His wisdom and knowledge was profound. He extended his talents to both these sporting professions, and we all know if you see a man at the top of the mountain, you have to remember he wasn't put there. It was bloody hard work to get there. But his love for family was unconditional, his devotion unwavering. As much as he cherished the thrill of horse racing and the mateship of rugby league, his greatest joy come from the moments shared with his loved ones, his wife Margie, our mum, his 4 children and their partners, his 13 grandchildren and 13 great-grandchildren. Dad was a man of the outback. He was a horseman, a cattleman, a man's man, who also mastered the art of campfire cooking, delighting friends and travellers alike with his culinary expertise. And as a publican, he welcomed weary souls into the warmth of his hospitality, with humour, leaving an indelible mark on every punter he touched in numerous towns. He could walk into any pub in Queensland and someone would know him. He was an author and a renowned poet, not to mention a great storyteller and joker. We will remember how he loved to laugh and tell a good story, always holding centre court. Every day of his 66 years of marriage, Dad taught us what it was like to be a great husband, father, grandfather and great-grandfather. Dad adored you, Mum, and in his final days when he woke up briefly, he looked for you to hold your hand. Dad in his early days of marriage spent a lot of time away from home, droving, and I would like to finish this eulogy today with a poem he wrote on one of these trips about you, Mum. And this is a poem of Dad's called Ode to Margaret. Watching the splendour of the sunset's glow, a veil of colours unfolds, and the blaze it displays as it gently sinks low turns the skyline to crimson and gold. Then a bloom of purple radiance from the western violet light makes a coloured curtain closing down the day, and the dark and lengthening shadows creeping closer to the night helps daylight in its quest to fade away. Having hobbled the horses and rigged camp for the night, as best a pack camp can be, while a noise from the lignum lifted the night birds to flight and brings a snort from my night horse's tree. Then I gazed deep in thought at the coals glowing red, with my hands around a quart pot of tea, staring, thinking without seeing, as my memory stirs in my head, and the biggest mob of lonely is my only company. I watched the sparks glow as they bucked to and fro, while I stared at my campfire's bed, feeling alone, sadly thinking of home, wishing I was with her instead. Then my thoughts start to roam with my mind wandering home to this beautiful lady I miss. I remember so much her soft, gentle touch, ever lovely as a sweet angel's kiss. So vivid is my memory revealing, as she looked so soft and lovely in lace, her sensual touch so appealing, like the caress of her breath on my face. I remembered our whispered endearments that brings back the memory I miss, and just like the quote Will Ogilvie wrote, I'd ride 40 miles for her kiss. Then I stared at the sets of bird silhouettes crossing the moon in flight. This in turn flies my mind to a far better time, with my wife by my side through the night. This adds to my solitary feeling alone, old memories hard felt to embrace, while droving cattle camping days on my own, while Margie, my wife I loved more than life, was patiently waiting at home. Then the chill of the night is beginning to bite as the breeze lays a freeze and gets hold. Then I look at my quart bite still held in my hand, and I note with a grin that my tea has gone cold. Mum, Dad wrote that for you in the prime of your lives. You were the purpose in his life, Mum, and he loved you dearly. Dad had enormous capacity to give of himself. With Ross, David, Bernard and myself, he was firm in his principles, but always encouraged us as we made our own way in life. I'm sure we tested his patience. I know I did, but he always responded with the great gift of unconditional love. Dad, our grief is so intense because we were all so close, and we were so blessed to have spent so much time together. You weren't just a dad, husband, grandfather or great-grandfather. You were our caretaker, protector and best friend. You were the best father a son or daughter could ever wish to have. Goodbye, Dad. It was our privilege to be your family.
Thank you, Gary. Your father will be very, very, very proud. I'd like you to sit back now and enjoy the PowerPoint presentation that the family have put together.
Don't let the old man in. I wanna live me some more. Can't leave it up to him. He's knocking on my door. And I knew all of my life that someday it would end. Get up and go outside. Don't let the old man in. Many months I have lived. My body's withered and worn. Ask yourself, how would you be if you didn't know the day you were born? Try to love on your wife and stay close to your friends. Toast each sundown with wine. Don't let the old man weathered and worn. Ask yourself, how would you be if you didn't know the day you were born? When he rides up on his horse and you feel that cold, bitter wind, look out your window and smile. Let the old man in. Look out your window and smile.
He was a giant when I was just a kid. I was always trying to do everything he did. I can still remember every lesson he taught me. Growing up, learning how to be like my old man. He was a lion. We were a father's pride, but I was defiant when he made me walk the line. He knew how to lift me up and when to let me fall. Looking back, he always had a plan. My old man, my old man. Feel the callus on his hands and dusty overalls. My old man. Now I finally understand. I have a lot to learn from my old man. Now I'm a giant, got a son of my own. He's always trying to go everywhere I go. Do the best I can to raise him up the right way, hoping that he someday wants to be like his old man. I know one day we'll meet again. As he's looking down, my old man, I hope he's proud of who I am. I'm trying to fill the boots of my old man.
Didn't know today would be our last, or that I'd have to say goodbye to you so fast. I'm so numb I can't feel anymore. I'm praying you just walk back through that door and tell me that I was only dreaming. You're not really gone as long as I believe. There will be another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angels around the throne tonight. Always made my troubles feel so small. fight for in a world where heroes come and go. Well, God just took the only one I know. So I'll hold you as close as I can, longing for the day when I see your face again. But until then, God must need another angel around the throne tonight. Your love lives on inside of me, and I will hold on tight. It's not my place to question, only God knows why. I'm just jealous of the angel. Grandpa, tell me about the good old days. Sometimes it feels like this world's gone crazy. Grandpa, take me back to yesterday, when the line between right and wrong didn't seem so hazy. Did lovers really fall in love to stay, stand beside each other, come what may? Promise really something people kept, not just something they would say. Families really bow their heads to pray. Daddies really never go away. Oh, oh, Grandpa, tell me about the good old days. Grandpa, everything is changing fast. We call it progress, but I just don't know. And Grandpa, let's wander back into the past, then paint me the picture of long ago. Lovers really fall in love to stay, stand beside each other, come what may. Promise really something people kept, not just something they would say and then forget. Families really bow their heads to pray.
If we look through the whole wide world, there is no other like the one you've lost. The person you have lost is unique and irreplaceable. And although no longer a visible part of your world, he will remain a special part of your lives through the influence he has had on you and the special part he has played in your lives. Grief is the last act of love we have to give those we loved. Where there is deep grief, there was deep love. We talk about them because we're proud, and we talk about them because they deserve to be remembered. And we talk about them because although they are not physically with us, they are never far from our minds. We talk about them because they are part of us, a part we could never ignore or disown. And we talk about them because we love them still, and we always will forever, and nothing will ever change that. And if you know someone who's lost a loved one, and you're afraid to mention them because you might make them sad by reminding them that they died, they don't forget. You're not reminding them. What you're reminding them of is that you remember that they lived, and that is a great, great gift. I'd like to share this very short reading with you on behalf of Nev's family. And it's called Speak Their Name. Someone I love has gone away, and life is not the same. The greatest gift that you can give is just to speak their name. I need to hear the stories and the tales of days gone past. I need for you to understand that these memories must last. We cannot make more memories since they're no longer here. So when you speak of them to me, it's music to my ears. We're not meant to avoid life in fear of death. We're meant to live each moment to the fullest, to connect with the people in our lives and to share the best of ourselves generously, to have the courage to do what needs to be done and to practice our deepest convictions. We're meant to live a life that matters because one day, whether we are ready or not, our time, it will come to an end. There'll be no more minutes, hours or days, and it won't matter what you owned, where you lived, whether you were male, female, beautiful or brilliant. Your grudges, your resentments, jealousies and frustrations will disappear, and the wins and losses that once seemed so important will fade away. Your hopes, your plans and their ambitions will be gone. But what will matter when you're no longer here is not what you brought but what you gave, and not what you learned but what you taught. What will be remembered is every act of integrity, compassion, courage or sacrifice that enriched and encouraged others. And more importantly will be your character, not your competence. But what will really matter more than anything is not how many people you knew, but how many will feel a lasting loss when you're gone, and the memories that will live on in those you loved. And Nev did live a life that mattered. He's finished his journey and left his mark. And his legacy continues in the generations that follow him. And a living memory is left in the hearts of those whose lives he has touched. When death occurs, we become aware of the fragility of life, and we realise that the death of us, it's just in the order of things. And sadly it follows, surely as night follows day. We know the value and the meaning of life consists in living it and living it well. And no one should be afraid of death. It is as natural as life itself. All that has life has a beginning and an end. And life's significance lies in the experiences and the satisfactions we achieve in that span of time. Its permanence lies in the memories of those who knew us and any influence we have left behind. As we accept life, so must we also accept death as one of the unchanging laws of human design. It is with grateful hearts we remember all the wonderful things we were able to share with Nev. The blessings, the difficulties, the joys, the challenges, the love, the giving and the receiving, they've all run their course. Neville, we give thanks for your 91 years of love, friendship and memories. We thank you for the good times. We thank you for your hard work. We thank you for your love and your laughter. And we thank you for being you. Continue your journey with the love of everyone here. Be reunited with family and friends gone before you. You will live on in the hearts of everyone you touched and nurtured while you lived on this earth. At the completion of the service, Neville's family invite you to join them at the birdcage to celebrate Neville and to share your memories of him with them. At this stage, I'd like to ask Gary just to come forward to share a little something extra for us that he has prepared.
Ladies and gentlemen, we just have one more slide. Ross Burner and I have been very concerned all week with our brother David. He's very emotional. He breaks down 3 times for a Lassie movie. So we asked Dave how he's going to cope today, and he said, I'll show you, and he raced outside. And he come back and he said, I'm going to wear these new sunglasses. He said, I'm going to set a new fashion trend. So he grabbed Dad's welding helmet And that draped over his arm is his handkerchief, so he reckons that's how he was going to come.
Could I please ask you to stand and join me in the Lord's Prayer? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, for ever and ever. Amen. Please be seated. Now, we all know that Nev loved nothing more than sitting down with friends and family, enjoying good conversation and banter. So we're now going to let Neville have the last word and his last hurrah. For those of you who choose not to attend the committal service at the cemetery, please take this time to listen to Nev, to reflect upon your memories, and to say your final farewells in your own personal way.
My name's Nev Peoples. My nickname is Nocka from years and years working at Nocka down in the Channel Country.
The faces in the photograph are faded, and I can't believe he looks so much like me. For it's been 10 years today since I left for Old Cork Station, saying I won't be back till the droving's done.
I left Sydney as a little boy, just wandered out, jumped on the train and wandered out, didn't know where I was going. And I got in with a drover in Burke, and I come with him up into the Channel Country, and I never left the Channel Country, really. I don't know whether love is the word. I used to like droving. I liked working in mustering camps too, and I run mustering camps. And when you took a mob of cattle, it was nice to, but you get to know them and you give them names. You know, when you're trying, like you give nicknames to your cattle, and you know where they should be running in the mob and things like that. And when you deliver the cattle, I remember they took a mob to Tancred's, and they asked if we wanted to go up and see them killed, and I said no. I just sat behind them for 10 weeks. I said I don't want to, and I liked the mob. They were nice cattle, and they get very quiet, and I didn't want to go and see them go under the hammer. Sometimes you're pleased to see the tail end of them too, I'll tell you. You get a bit weary, and you make delivery. You've got to look after your cattle when you take delivery of them. You've got to look after them, and you've got to fill them up. And there's an old saying that amongst drovers years ago, that you start them early and you steer them straight and you fill them up and camp them late. And that's the old adage, and what you've done was pretty right. You started them, got them off camp very early, and poked them along a little bit early in the day so that you got a few miles behind you, and then you fed them into the night camp where you were going to watch them and made sure that they were full. And if they were full and contented of a night, you would be too, because they wouldn't give you any trouble. But if they went on to camp half empty and they weren't full, well, then they'd be walking around looking for a feed all night. So, you know, if you got bloody 800 bullocks galloping past a break and a couple of packs, it makes you think about it. It's just a matter of looking after them, and they'd look after you.
For the cattle trail goes on, and the fences roll forever, and I won't be back till the droving's done.
But droving is a fairly lonely sort of a deal, and I always liked poetry. Right from a little boy I liked poetry, so I used to potter along writing a few poems here and there. And this story is in one of my books. It's about, they were looking for cattle that had got out into the desert, and they rode onto an old ruins of an old homestead. And the people that owned it, the old fellow's wife's name was Annie, and they called the place Annievale, and the name of the poem is the Annievale Ruins. It says, tracking a mob of cattle across this barren, dusty land, we rode on a fallen down cattle yard near a washed-out station dam. There the ruins of a homestead lay, taken over by drift, sand and vine, a time-scarred relic of a bygone day, deeply ravaged by the winds of time. And our Murray elder then led us across to a grave covered over by stone. A small mound of earth, a fallen down cross, marks a soul lying sadly alone. Looking down on the grave in this dry, wind-swept Clyne, one couldn't help feeling pain for this man long forgotten by the passing march of time, laying nameless on a wide and dusty plain. What become of his clan, God only knows. It seems they faded like dust in the distance, having ridden away from a drought-covered land with nothing and no more resistance. This triggered emotion deep and strong, trying to visualise their lonely existence, or the terror of childbirth gone terribly wrong and the dread of no medical assistance. And in face of adversity, they did their best, till there was no more lifeblood to sap, and covered by dust storms coming in from the west, their history just ruins on a map. And travelling back up the river, we were all strangely quiet, overcome by the homestead in mind, overcome by the pioneer's hardship and plight, deeply moved by that scene back behind.
For the dreaming by the light of the campfire at night ends with the burning by the day.
They reckon that we're getting warmer. Well, might be so, I don't know. But I can remember when I was a big lump of a lout, you know, and we had a heat wave for bloody 15 days, and that's going back 60 years. So there was heat wave back then too. So the climatic conditions have been changing for a long time, evidently. But I've seen the good times and the bad times, and you still see good times and bad times. And I think you just cop it sweet and take it as it comes. Huh?
For the rain never falls on the dusty Diamantina, and a drover finds it hard to change his mind.
Nev, this weekend there's a drovers reunion at the Australian Stockman's Hall of Fame. Why do you think this is an important event? And, you know, tell us a bit about what happens.
I think it's great. I'll tell you why, Lydia. A couple of years ago, I was sitting up. I always go to the drovers reunion, and I was sitting there looking at a fella a couple of tables across, and I was eyeing him off, and he was looking at me. And then I went over to him, and I said, "I think I know you." And he said, "I know you too." And I said, "Yeah." His name was Azzy Frizella, and we worked in a mushroom camp together about 60 years ago. And then a couple of years ago, I was up there talking to David Brooke, who was the boss of the Hall of Fame now. He's a good friend of mine, David, from Burnsville. Anyway, this fella come up and tapped me on the shoulder, and I turned around, and it was another fella that I hadn't seen for 50 years, Peter Sinclair, and he used to work in the mushroom camp at Narryilco, a kidland property. So you just, and all the old fellas that you've known for years, bloody Dickie Matthews and all them old blokes, well, we were young fellas together, and all of a sudden, 50 years on, you stand there having a beer, telling lies.
Like the trace from old Cork Station, and I won't be back till the droving's done.
You can shed tears that Never's gone, or you can smile because he lived. You can close your eyes and pray that he will come back, or you can open your eyes and see all that he has left. Your heart can be empty because you can't see him, or you can be full of the love that you shared. You can remember him and only that he is gone, or you can cherish his memory and let it live on. You can cry, close your mind, be empty and turn your back. Or you can do what Nev would have wanted. Smile, open your eyes, love and move on. Could I please ask the pallbearers and Nev's grandchildren to come forward? Please stand.